We are live. It's a beautiful day today. Oh my goodness. I am so excited. Very, very excited to be alive for this moment. And this is Life and Living It with Sandra streaming in from the state of Delaware in the United States. And as you can see, I have a very beautiful lady smiling in her holy green. And it's no other than Lady Andrea. Yes, I don't really like to introduce people because I tend I might focus on things that are not really important to them. So I like them to introduce themselves and say everything that they want to say. Lady Andrea, I am so blessed to have you on Life and Living It for such a time as this. I believe in the timing, I believe in the season. And, if you don't mind, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience that are streaming in live, to watch and to listen to what we have to say today.
Lady Sandra, I'm so excited to be here with you today. You are such an incredible gift, and I just want to hail you at the front end of this. Thank you so much for having me with you. Welcome, everyone. I am Andrea Boweya, and I am passionate about supporting you to access more of what you deeply desire and deserve in a relationship. I am so passionate. I wake up every day with this passion in my heart to truly support each one that I am incredibly humbled and privileged to serve, to grow and to access more of what we all desire and deserve in relationship with ourselves, with others, and in marriage. I am also the wife of the wonderful Mr. Dimitri Boweya. And my unique vantage point is that he's the best husband in the world. He's my Superman. I'm also the mother of two amazing daughters, which I'm absolutely grateful to be called to raise. By profession, I'm a registered psychotherapist, and I wake up in that passion that I just mentioned every day in that role.
Wow, amazing. Beautifully. Um, I like the way you described yourself from the personal perspective as a mother, as a wife, and talked about your business. It kind of leads us to we can wear many hats as individual, be wives and mothers, and still do all the things that God wants us to do. Wow, such a pleasure to have you. So when you say that you are a psychotherapist, for the person watching us, that might probably seem like a big term. So,
Yes.
what do psychotherapists do?
So think about me as a doctor of the mind. Many of us have dreams that are way down inside of us. Many of us have unresolved stuff that we've stored over our history and our past that blocks us from progressing and living the life that we deserve and that we desire. And so there's also something spiritually that God has designed for all of us. But if the mind is blocked, that is blocked from getting into our everyday natural living. So that's where I come in to support you to unblock the mind, to heal the mind, so
Mm.
that what you deserve and desire could be lived every day with passion and with purpose.
Wow, amazing, amazing. And I spent some time to watch some of your meetings, and also I had a chance to read a little bit about the books that you have written, and I see that you pour your heart when you in anything that you do, whether you are writing or whether you are speaking, it's your heart. And that's why I like to talk to people. Yes, we have things you have to go to school in order to become registered as a psychotherapist, but you did not leave your spirit or your heart behind. That kind of intertwined as you went along with it. So therefore, when somebody speaks to you, they are able to connect with you, connect with your spirit. And in that way, we can all find truth and liberty and be able to live with purpose and also with passion. And one of the things that I like when you talk about is relationships.
Mm.
Um, we and I always say that we cannot exist without relationship. That is how
Right.
God made us to be. And for relationship, from my disposition or perspective, the most important relationship that will set the tone for all the relationships is the vertical relationship that we have with God.
Yeah.
Because once you have that figured out, the horizontal will fall in place. And what's your take on that?
I think you said it so excellently. Just brilliant. Here's the reality. Once we have that relationship with God, one of the primary function is to solidify our relationship with ourselves. So when we have that relationship with God, God in the way that He just loves on us, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are the apple of my eye. When we internalize that, there's no way that any of us walk away. When we truly internalize that, it's impossible to walk away with I'm not enough, I'm not worthy. And so that relationship with God primarily fortifies our relationship with ourselves. And then, secondarily, one of the most relationship that you and I could ever have is with ourselves.
Yes.
And then, once we have that relationship with God, with ourselves, we become unstoppable in that passion and purpose in our relationship with others. So, you said it so well in terms of where we start, how that truly fortifies our relationship with ourselves, and ultimately allows us to show up in such a full way in relationship with others.
Wow. When you were explaining how God affirms us, that we the apple of God's eye, it's a love affair. It's it's walking is a kid the other the book that Solomon wrote. Um
Songs
the
of Solomon.
Songs of Solomon. That
We're here for each other. This is relationship.
Songs of Solomon, that's how God it's a love affair. And I always say that I thank God that I knew God, and I also got to experience His love, His pure, unconditional love. That's why when I go to God, I feel like let me just go ahead and also love on Him for all the good things that He has done for me. And the reason why I can believe that when you don't have the vertical relationship with God, right, you will not be equipped to
Hmm.
to be able to do the horizontal relationship right. And the reason is that I already know that I'm loved by God. I have been affirmed and approved and stamped by God. So then my validation, my worth has already been determined by God, and there is
Yeah.
nothing horizontal. That position has already been fulfilled by God. So there is not anything that somebody can do or say that will make me feel inferior because God has already. And I'm not saying I'm not going to get annoyed but it doesn't twat the validation process that has already been done by God. And do you think that that is so important in having confidence, having self confidence? Number one, self is not really from me; it's from God. So anytime I say self confidence, it's not it's from me. Having the confidence and also knowing who you are. When you have those things, do you believe that it does help you to become that stronger, that confident person as to where you are not looking for somebody to validate you because that's really a really tough job to give to somebody to do, knowing that we are humans and we all have our faults.
Right. You said, I think, two good points that you pointed out there. That this once you have this vertical validation and you attend intentionally to internalize that and to believe it as the top priority, it is less likely for it to be thwarted in your relationship with others. And then this piece about self-confidence, or maybe we could land it on eventually self-worth. It's
Mhm.
really, you said something, there's a nuance there, Lady Sandra.
Yeah.
So if we're going to talk about this from a biblical perspective, remember our relationship with God fortifies our relationship with self. There's
Yeah.
a scripture that says Christ in us.
Yes.
is the hope of glory.
Yes.
I am the witness of God in the earth. So I
Yes.
want you to be confident when you say self confidence, self
Wow.
belief, because in essence, if Christ is in us, there's an understanding that when I'm believing in myself, it is not arrogance, it's me believing in the God's strength in me. Make sense?
Oh.
And
Amen.
so if I'm showing up, not me and God, but Christ in me, it is so much of a fuller empowerment stance. Here is now the journey of a life that depending, so let's think about it in terms of boundaries. Our skin is a boundary for our body, but because there are pores in our skin, external things get into our body. So if you put some cream on your body, for example, it will get through your pores into your body. If you're exposed to something poisonous, it gets into your body. So depending on our level of boundaries, the things and the injuries in relationship in life, when someone puts us down, sometimes it does get in.
Mhm.
And that is the journey of psychotherapy when that stuff has gotten in from a
Yes.
young age and now becomes solid. So
Yes.
now the God perspective is no longer what I believe to be true. It causes me to estimate myself lower than I am. So that's the self esteem piece. But
Yes.
when we flip it and come back to what is my worth, that lending it back on, there's nothing you can do for God to not love you. You
Yes.
are the apple of his eye, regardless. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, regardless. That is where we want to continue every day. And it's an everyday work for most of us to remind ourselves, to reinforce, and make that stronger and stronger ongoing.
Wow. I think I had a moment here because anytime I'm posting something on my Facebook and it has something like believe in yourself and you will do well, I have a hard time posting that. If it said believe in God, then I will post it. But anytime the focus is me, then I'm like, no, no, then I don't. But what you said right now, I kind of put things in perspective for me because Christ in me,
Yes,
the hope of glory. So
yes,
myself is not just me,
right.
it's just God in me. So I can say self confident.
You
Oh
got
my
it. You
goodness.
got it. You so got it. That's what we call integration. Now it's no
Oh,
longer a duality, it's
yes,
integration. And that's when we are at our highest, the peak. Yeah, when we are integrated with the love of God, when we're integrated with we are the weakness. It really is us. We are his weakness in the earth. It's amazing. I'm so glad that you got that.
yes, 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 yeah. Because I've struggled with that for a long time, and I've never posted anything that said believe in yourself because I'm like, who am I to believe in myself? But it's the God in me. Thank you so much. Wow, I just had a session.
We're in relationship. So I want to, for the people that are listening, Lady Sandra, and again, the grace and compassion, okay? So this is where psychotherapy really comes in because for most of us, we've been groomed in culture to
Yeah,
not, it's called not boast,
right.
not be, not be sort of highly exalt yourself,
Yeah,
just to be lowly. And
yeah,
so we literally repeat these words. I'm unworthy. I am nothing in the context of God. And I truly believe that that reflects incorrectly in
yes,
how he sees us because he went all the way for you
yes,
because you were worth it,
yes,
right? And so integrating that and know that that's not a departure from loyalty to culture, but it's correcting because most of us who said that over time truly believe that that's what we should say. But when the brain incorporates that because we've said it again and again, that's what becomes solid. So that's the pores, it got in.
yes.
And so now it affects the confidence that we show up with. It affects the passion and the purpose that we show up in when we believe something unwittingly that is really incorrect.
Wow. Amazing. I want to acknowledge a few people who are watching us. And I know as we go ahead, people are going to watch. And if you are just watching, please feel free to let me know where you are streaming live from. And if you are watching this on a replay, you can do hashtag replay. Thank you, Happy, my husband, for Always, always, always. It doesn't even matter if he's tired, he will just stream in and listen to us. Yes. And I want to thank Valerio Valley for also watching us from Florida. And as we keep going, I'm going to mention a couple of names once I see. So if you are on, say something so that I know that you are on. Lady Andrea, this is amazing. This is truly amazing. That's why you come into play. Yes, we have the spiritual, and we are supposed to discern that. But sometimes it also takes somebody with that special gift and
Mm,
understanding that God has graced you to be able to bring the body, soul, and spirit in a space where they can coexist and fulfill the purpose of God. And that's amazing. And when we talked about the vertical relationship and how that is important, um, do you believe that when that is not the case, because I know some people they will say, oh, I don't know God, I'm an atheist, but I've been married
mm,
for 50 years. But one
mm.
thing that they don't say is that even though they might not say with their mouth, they still do the principles
Right.
some way, somehow. You know, they are looking at their spouse or their marriage as, this is our ministry. We've been married together. So they are incorporating all the things that the Bible talks about. Can you have a solid relationship with your spouse and not have a vertical relationship with God?
And I think you describe it so well because the godness in you and I,
You are muted. All
so
right.
sorry,
That's
that was an interruption. The godness in you and I, it is the higher essence of who
yes,
you and I are.
yes,
And when you just said principles there, for someone who presents and say, I don't believe in God, like you and I would describe, that principle that is higher than the triggers in their life, than the stuff in their life, because all of us need someone or something to be accountable to.
yes,
And so, for example, I'll bring it down to a natural function. Breathing for you and I is an everyday function. We need it to stay alive, but we don't create breath in our own body,
right,
right?
right.
And so, whether or not you believe that this air outside is wonderful and higher than you are, you're breathing in that breath.
Yes,
Got it? And,
yes,
and so that we are, the higher the principle that you adhere to, is the better you're going to do in relationship. And so, depending on your belief system, what comes out of those belief system for all of us is sound principle. And the sounder the principle, the better you're able to do in relationship.
wow, amazing. For me, when I got married, I always say that I had that love affair with God because I didn't get married until I was like almost 29. So I
Mm,
had learned to live by myself. I love God with everything. I went to God. So I had that relationship. I didn't say I was perfect, but if I wanted, I was experiencing anything, I could lift up my hands in worship and I'll be fine. So when I got married, I knew that would be a continuation of whatever I had started with God. So for me, it just had to be better. It couldn't be worse than what I already had with God, and I wanted to protect that. And I said, if I cannot have like that, and it's going to turn my life upside down, then I would know the difference because I have experienced the unconditional love of God. So I could compare and I knew what was love and what was not love. Do you think that for most people who stay in abusive relationship, is it because they have experienced God, but for some reason they they've chosen to compromise, maybe thinking that those two relationships can never be compared and that it is very impossible to have the same relationship you have with God than to have horizontally. Is there like a disparity? Or sometimes I know there are other factors that are associated with that. for some, what's your take on that? I don't want to talk too much and then forget the question that I started to ask.
You're doing so well. You're doing so well. So you just described something in your own life, Lady Sandra, that I think is a pivot foundation, that you had this relationship with God, and this, I can go to God and lift my hands. That's principled. I know I have a relationship with God, and that relationship helps me to come back to my center, the core of
Yeah.
who I am. And if I ever drift away and I reach out to God, it brings me back to my center. That's principle. So let's think that let's think about it maybe as an automobile. So that has become your engine, let's say, and you're now driving down the road in relationship to another car, and you see that your car is slowing down and it's being triggered. Most of us will stop and lift the hood
Yes.
and see what's going on with our engine. We wouldn't go and just get a car wash
Right.
or a repaint. We will go underneath the surface to see what is happening. So most people have had a history of unresolved
Mm-hmm.
modeling of relationship,
Okay.
that then even when they have this relationship with God, so coming back to what we described at the beginning, spirit, mind, body, if the mind is unhealed, the brain is unhealed, and what is stored there in terms of the modeling of relationship from the past, even though I have this relationship with God, it cannot get through to this natural level because it's blocked by this unhealed. So
Wow.
the compassion, most people who are in abusive relationship are actually often modeling the pattern of relationship that
Wow.
there's most weakness and internalized from the past. So
Okay.
that's why when we see individuals who are struggling, it's super important to approach with grace and compassion, because I don't believe any of us put our hand up and say, I want to be in a relationship that is abusive. I don't believe any of us leave our homes on any given day saying, I want to get in an accident while I'm driving this car. Right.
Yeah.
So as you see that there's some people in trouble in their relationship, particularly in a time like this slowed down. We didn't slow down, we were slowed down in this time of pandemic. Things underneath the surface tends to be rising to
Mm.
the surface. And really, here's the key. Just like when you feel a physical pain, really it is an indication that something underneath the surface needs to be attended to. Because most of us lack the awareness, however, we recreate the pattern through expression of aggression, of violence. So that's where those of us who are called to serve in that area show up to bring the level of awareness and healing underneath the surface that is needed so that you can show up in relationship in a healthier way.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I am having a great time, and I know for those watching, you are also having a great. I'm just glued, like listening to everything. And this is Lady Andrea from Canada, who is a psychotherapist, a mother, a wife, having a chat with us, unveiling some truth. I just had my own session with her, where she made the way I was thinking. She helped me put everything back in perspective. And if you have any questions with regards to what we are saying, you can put it in the chat. Thank you, Maddie, for watching, and also Regina for watching, Alisa for joining us this evening. This is Life and Living It with Sandra. And we do this to bring hope, to bring truth, to help you think clearly during these times, to let you know that everything is not bad. God has still raised people to be able to help you go through this time, and you don't have to do it alone. And that's why we have Life and Living It. And as you all know, I also inspire healthy living, body, soul, and spirit. Yes, God gave us the body, we need to take care of it. And one way that we take care of our body is through nutrition. Nutrition is key. And God, in His own wisdom, He put all the phytonutrients, the antioxidants in fruits and vegetables. We cannot get them anywhere except in fruits and vegetables. We don't get them from our yams, we don't get them from potatoes, we get them from fruits and vegetables. And we don't eat enough. If I ask anybody, how many servings have you eaten today? I'll be lucky if I have five. And the reason why is that sometimes life gets in the way. We are so busy, And even if we do, it's not enough. And when World Health Organization did the research with the toxins that we are being exposed to, with how we grow our food now, we have so much chemicals in it. Recommended servings of fruits and vegetables is actually 7 to 13. And if you're able to have that, then you will have enough antioxidants in you to be able to fight any free radicals, fight any germs or toxins. So if you don't have that, then that is what leads to inflammation, chronic illness, your immune system is not as strong as it used to be. And if you are looking for a way to bridge the nutritional gap, I would say that bridge your nutritional gap not with chemicals, but bridge it with whole food, plant-based nutrition, because in them have over 1,000 phytonutrients that will help your body increase the antioxidants. So if you are looking for a good way, a good story to get your plant-based nutrition, you are looking for a store that grows their own fresh produce, allow it to ripe 100%, no chemicals, no pesticides. You can always contact me. That's what I do to help you bridge that nutritional gap. And thank you very much, Lady Andrea, for joining us. We've been talking about relationships, and it's been a blast. I am blessed, and I'm glad that you said yes to it graciously and came in with your heart and your smile just to give. And when you see that somebody gives from their heart, it kind of touches you more to also do good, because once you have received good, good will come out of you anyway. So we are talking about relationships, and we're talking about some of the factors that will lead to somebody staying in an abusive relationship. All right, so we're gonna move a little bit of the relationship, but we're gonna come back before we end, and then we'll wrap it up. And knowing who you are, I think we touched on it a little bit. For me, knowing who I am came from knowing God and getting close to God, because once I got close to Him, and everything that he said about me, I started
Mm,
processing it. Then I knew, oh, okay, my name is not just Sandra. Number one, because if you ask me, who are you? The first thing I'm going to say is, I'm a child of God. That's number one, before anything else will follow. Because without God, I probably wouldn't have known, that okay, maybe these are the gifts that I have. This is my calling. And a lot of people struggle with that. As to where you ask them, who are you? Until you know who you are, you will not even understand your assignment on this earth, because you would be pulling from so many places, and sometimes it's a journey. And I know some people, they just know it from childhood. For a lot of us, it was more like trial trial and error. You have to do a little bit of that, but one thing for sure is that none of the things that you do will be wasted, and that all the things will work together for those who love God and are called according to their purpose. And for I want to ask, how does somebody find out who they are and what they are supposed to do on this earth? Can they
so
look
I
at their gifts and their talents and kind of know what they're supposed to do on this earth?
Such a great question, Lady Sandra, and you describe it so well. From you're doing so well, like
Thank you.
you're awesome. You described that so well from your vantage point. I call it rediscover. All of us have a shining star within us. All of us have a purpose, however deeply buried within. All of us. All of us have something in there that we're really passionate about. And so I will find that even in the work that I do, I will show up and say to somebody, who are you? Who are you really? And most people, even in their older years, struggle to answer that question. The comeback sometimes is, that's a good question. And right, as sort of the slow down answer. And so no judgment at all, because it's a big question. And so sometimes I slow that down by saying, tell me, what are you really, really passionate about? Like, what is the thing that you just love to do that makes you come alive more than anything else? And then I reinforce that your purpose is not what you do. And most people look at me with glary eye. What you do is your role. And
Yeah.
then I slow it down a little bit more. I said, but I'm curious. Tell me, what do you do? And so somebody will, like yourself, will say, I do this. I support people in their wellness. I was working with someone recently who is a mortgage agent and says, I'm a mortgage agent. I say, talk to me, the people that you serve, what value do you add to their life? And she says, it's sometimes hard for people to obtain home ownership. And what I do, I help them to get into that process. So then I said, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to listen to this and tell me if it lands for you. And I said, it sounds like if I were to come up to you at a networking event and I said, who are you? You might say something like this, and let me call her Susie. You might say, I am Susie, and I support people to fulfill their dreams. And she's like, that's powerful. And I said, is that you? And she's like, that's me. And so then I said, if I were to be, so I'm still you, if I were to be the one and show up that way, what's the next thing that you would respond to me? How would you respond to me? She says, I would say to you, how do you do that? And I said, that's how you're talking about your purpose.
Yes.
Because it's good, it's crucial to know the story, but it is the value that you add to your life and to the life of others that you serve. So as this now, I supported her to really land this. She was now able to see this is her in her business. This is her as a wife.
Yes.
This is her as a mother. So now that purpose spans each of her roles. So if we started what she did as a mom, it might not have landed this overall purpose.
Yes.
So those are some good questions as I just went through that example to ask yourself, really know your story, land it on what you're really, really passionate about, and pull out the value that
Yes.
you add to the life of others. And when you do that, it will come back to you. You will see how when you show up in that value, it brings you alive. It adds so much to you, it makes you really come alive like
Yes.
nothing else.
Wow. Amazing. I just like the way you articulated it. You put everything together. Wow. Thank you, Gifty, for joining us. Susan also for joining us, and Sister Rosina from watching us from the UK, and Dee Dee also from Alberta, Canada. Thank you, Asda, for watching. Happy, of course. What did Happy? He said value word. And Didi says, looking beautiful, ladies. And Rosina said, good evening, ladies. That's amazing. That's amazing. And one thing that you said that really resonated with me was that your purpose will always be connected to helping people.
Right.
It can never be centered on just you. Amazing.
You
Amazing.
got it. You got it. Because none of us is an island, and none of us could survive without relationship.
Yeah.
And one of the primary purpose on the line in all of our life is to build relationship, is to be in relationship. So I say it this way: when you know your purpose, you become incredibly attractive.
Yeah.
When you serve in your purpose, you become incredibly attractive.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And by serving, it also brings you greater fulfillment.
right.
Wow.
So when
Amazing.
I see you, Lady Sandra, I want to just really say this. When I see you, I see purpose. The way you show up on social media every day, you're just attractive, incredibly attractive.
Oh, thank
So
you.
thank
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's why I love God, because there's nothing that He gives to you to do that will not also benefit you. But just that in the beginning, you got to take your eyes off you and then go ahead and do it. And then eventually you will know that God wasn't really trying to take anything away from you. He's always been a giver. That's who He is, and He can't help it. Wow.
right, right. That's why that scripture says, "Give, and it will come back to you." Just in case you didn't understand, good measure. Just in case you still didn't get that, press
Press
down,
down.
shaken together, running over. And that scripture didn't say we should now ask God. It says, those that we're in relationship with, men, shall pour into your bosom. So it's incredible when you start from that I am an instrument called to serve and to give, ultimately comes back to me, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Yeah.
Wow. So what is the most important relationship you can have?
The most important relationship, and you said it so well, is the relationship that you have with God.
Yes.
Second, and most of us sometimes get it wrong. We have the relationship with God and then look out for what we need. Have a relationship with God, and that's the commandment, most important. Love God, love yourself, and then love your neighbor as yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why when you don't know how to love yourself, then it's going to be a problem. And
Right.
it's not so that you can sit there and idolize yourself. It's so that you can protect what God has already shown you and given you. You have to like yourself. You have to love yourself enough to understand that you were not born to be abused. You were not born to be used, but then God has put a premium on you. So if God Himself could love you so much and die for you, you want to be able to protect what He gave you and then tell people how much God loves you. And that's why I like to say you can show people how to treat you because maybe they might not know.
We really do attract ourselves.
Yes,
And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. We attract the relationships that we are ready for better or for worse. And so sometimes when those relationships become injurious, again, is to see the strength that whenever you feel that trigger, that pain, it's about paying attention to what's underneath the surface that needs to be healed. And so ultimately, relationship is currency,
yes,
and relationship is the ultimate healing portal for all of us.
yes,
Just that I think at times we lack the awareness that, I'm triggered by him, so that means not good, so I need to fight. But really, if I slow it down and see that this trigger is about calling me to pay attention and to be more aware as to what's within that needs to be healed, that makes the world of a difference.
yes. Wow. And the last thing that we'll talk about is the legacy moment. I mean, I
Yeah.
had to I had to Google the word just to just to make sure it's just putting two big words together. Legacy moment. And I think that whether we like it or not, we are leaving some kind of legacy. And we do that in every aspect of our life. And I'm going to use marriage because we are talking about relationship. For me, I sitting right here, I can tell the legacy that my parents handed to me in terms of marriage.
Mm.
If anything, they taught me harmony. I saw firsthand how marriage was supposed to be and look like.
Mm.
So it has always been embedded in me. So for my children, what my husband and I do, not so much even what we say, can also leave in them that legacy,
Yes,
for them to also leave their own legacy for their children.
you
And
got it.
I love the picture on your book with your hand, your fingers, and the fingers of your daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, right away, you know that whatever you do, how you live your life, even
Yeah.
professionally, it could be how they see you fight, how they see you persevere, and how
Hmm.
they see you treat people, how they see you serve God. Those are all legacy moments. Can you elaborate on that for me? You cannot
Lady
say it the
Sandra,
way I can see it.
I don't even think I want to add anything to that. You just said it so well. Because even as you said, my fingers and the fingers of my daughter, I was like, how did she know that you're right in it? It's so amazing.
Yeah.
You said it so awesome, and that's it. There is a theory of epigenetics, and what that says in summary is the reverberated, the repeated legacy of our cultural past has a way of showing up deep within, beneath the surface, in how we then express ourselves in the future. So it's important for all of us to slow down and to truly consider what do I want to embed in the generation to come, in my children and the generation to come, and be so ever so intentional in living that today. Legacy moments came about because I saw ever so often the generational disconnect at the root of dysfunction in the work that I did and just in life altogether. And God just stirred my heart to do what it was possible to develop one tool that would help us to slow down and to truly just be intentional about passing on to the next generation what matters most. And so I'll give you an example. One day I was speaking to my niece and she was saying something. She was quite young, about two or so. And she was saying something and I didn't get it. So then my sister came on the phone and I said, why was she saying, talking to me about epidural? My sister's like, what? She said, close the door. In that moment, it ballooned in such a meaningful moment because what I didn't understand as an aunt, my sister got right away. So
Wow.
there is work that there's a stewardship that as parents we are called to that no one else can do. The teacher
Yes.
at school is not meant to do it. The
Yes.
pastor is not meant to do it. The
Yes.
neighbor is not meant to do it. You are gifted. You've named your children, for example, out of an inspiration, out of, a meaningful. Your culture, because African culture is very big on the attached name of the meaning of the name. But
Yes.
there are many people who are walking around don't have a clue what their names mean and they're saying yes to it like 50 times in one day,
Yes.
right? So nuances like that we're able to really, it's not about again shifting the concept of legacy, not telling our story to the next generation, but truly being open to receiving from God
Yes.
what he has destined for the next generation and
Yes.
being intentional to pass that on. And one way to do that successfully is to pay attention every day.
Yes.
So everyday moments remind us of
Yes.
the gift of wisdom and identity and meaning and just instruction that the next generation needs. And be also intentional to live it out aloud. My 5-year-old draws my husband and I ever so often together and say, kiss each other, because she already understands that the bold expression of affection is okay.
Yes.
Where we're coming from in culture, that was not okay. So it gets me really excited that she
Yes.
knows that healthy expression of affection is
Mhm.
awesome. So that is how we are intentional in living legacy every day. And this Legacy Moments as a book is meant to help you to be intentional to record these moments and then gift it. Now your daughter is walking down the aisle one day, and as part of her gift is this, and imagine her sitting and reading from 2020 when this is now 2035 of
Yes.
how you thought about her and instructed her and spoke into her identity.
Wow. Lady Andrea, where can we get legacy moments? I know that
So
was
like
your first book that you wrote.
yes. So both Legacy Moments and The Heart of a Good Thing is on Amazon. And so
Okay.
if you go to Amazon, each of the handle uk.ca.com, you can find them there.
Wow. That was amazing. Paying attention to the chronicles of life. And if anything, legacy is what you leave in them.
Yeah.
That intangible that nobody sees, but
Mm,
the effect is so profound,
right,
profound that it can even impact the trajectory of their life.
right,
And, and I always tell my husband that how we do this marriage is going to determine everything that they know about marriage. And
right.
it's never about us, but it's about the generations to come.
You got it. You got it. Lady Sandra, I'm going to hire you as a spokesperson for Legacy Moment.
I will be honored. I mean, I was just listening to you, watching your tips. I just like the way she speaks and she has command over the English language. You speak so well, so
Thank
well.
you.
And, I thank God for that. I know God has graced you, but you also went to school.
I'm grateful. I'm so grateful.
Yes. And I want to thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, and also for everything that you shared, from your heart. And before you go, I know we have so many people watching us, people who will be watching us tomorrow or maybe a year from now. Whatever God has in your heart, please go ahead and share.
I just want to say that you're important. Most of us struggle at some point in time with believing that we are enough. I want to tell you that you are enough. And I also want to tell you that what you desire, deeply desire, and deserve in relationship with yourself, with others, and in marriage, it is possible. I say it this way, one moment at a time, one moment at a time, doable. It is possible. Feel free to connect with me at legacymoments.ca because on so many levels, two is so better than one. God bless you.
God bless you too. And what is your Instagram? Are you on Instagram?
I am. And so it's
Okay.
Legacy Moments.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for joining us on Life and Living It. This is Sandra, and my guest today was Andrea from Canada, who is a psychotherapist and also loves God, has a great spirit. If you need her information, you can contact me, and we all need this. Yes, we all need this. And God has graced all of us in special things that we can do. I am not a psychotherapist. Even if I try, I think that I'm going to fail because it's not my field.
You just did so well today. I've hired you already, right?
All right. Until we meet again, thank you very much for streaming. And from Andrea and Sandra, we're saying have a good night, stay blessed, and we'll see you again. Bye bye.